She's coming.
Hello. तुम्ही अनम्यूट करूया द्यावं.
मीट करू. आपण मीट करू. Yes. हमारे को मीट करो. हमारे को ये करो. अनमीट करो. I think, sir, time is 11:08. Principal, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Moderator, Abdul Hamid Jalal, please go on. Okay.
Very good morning to all of you for participating in this virtual celebration of International Day of the Girl Child. As everybody knows that on 11th of October 2012, the United Nations has declared this day as Day of the Girls, and since then the world community has been observing this day as the International Day of the Girls. This year 2020, along with international community under the theme My Voice, Our Equal Future, Haji Anfarli College is equally celebrating International Day of the Girl Child, jointly organized by the Department of History and Women's Cell, Haji Anfarli College, Doboka. May I have the pleasure to welcome respected Principal Sir, Dr. Mamun Ajam Barburia, respected resource person, Miss Rashida Tapar, Vice President, Smart Kuch India, New Delhi, respected Vice Principal, Majharul Islam Sir, respected Coordinator, Women's Cell, Mr. Tulika Goswami, my dear colleagues, respected participants, and my dear students. Now may I request Principal Sir to formally inaugurate the program. Over to you, sir, Principal Sir.
Okay. Good morning to all of you. Good morning to all the participants and our chief guest. She is with us. We are very happy. And HOD Department of History, and Tulika Goswami, she is the coordinator of Women's Cell. So we are going to celebrate the International Day of the Girl's Child, and we hope that it will be a successful one. A large number of students are participating through live YouTube, and participants are here, participants from other colleges also. So I once again, on behalf of the organizing committee, welcome all of you for this virtual celebration. And at the same time, I would like to say that due to failure of power supply, perhaps we will be going to reduce the time from the time schedule. Before 12:30, we have to we have to finish the program. Thank you all, and thank you all other participants. Of course, when I did when I said that due to failure of power supply, the power supply has just come after 8-9 hours. So thank all of you. We are very happy. And over to the coordinator, moderator, Mr. Abdul Hamid Talukdar.
So officially, you just start the program, sir. Formally, you start the program. Ma'am is there.
Yes. Yes.
So over to ma'am, sir. Ma'am.
So our respected chief guest, Rashida Tapadar, she is the Vice President of Smart Coach India, New Delhi, and I welcome you, ma'am. So because of paucity of time, we are going to begin. And now I would like to request our chief guest to deliver your speech, your presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Very.
And all other participants, excuse me, all other participants should mute your audio. All other participants. Okay, go on, please.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. Thank you for this opportunity to interact with the students. However, I wish that I could actually, be with the students and meet, but I think the current times will not allow us that opportunity. So anyhow, going ahead with it. I'm very grateful to the college authority, principal sir, and all the organizers for recognizing this day. I think this is one of the first most important step in a society, and I would like to really appreciate that you people have taken, despite all the challenges we are facing now, you have taken the initiative to observe this day, and that itself is a very brightening thought for me, that we are collectively making sure that we recognize the importance of the girl child, and that is how today we have all assembled to discuss whatever insights I would love to share about the girl child. So I think all of us being in India, we are aware of the situation of a girl child in India. In various communities, it is not limited to any rural urban setup or by educational parameters or by any of those things, but I think it is just rampant in India. We see so much of inequality in India. And I think it naturally becomes a collective responsibility of the responsible citizens of the country to bring about discussions, to raise more awareness, and to discuss how best we can fit in along with new changes. Now, all of us are aware that changes are not very conducive, or we are not very comfortable with changes. So these changes are very contrary to how our societal setup is, or how our political setup is. All these setups, institutions have been created keeping the man in mind. So gradually, when you have to include a woman and you have to adapt to a woman in a workplace, in the political setup, seeing her speak or seeing her lead, it is natural, I think, to see some kind of resistance in society. However, I think with education and with globalization and with improvement in communication channels, etc., I think gradually we are obviously moving one step ahead towards that goal. And the days like this, like the International Day for the Girl Child, these are very significant days. And on such days, it becomes very crucial to bring into the forefront and discuss things that cripple our communities. Internationally, the things that are spoken of, they are general. For example, employment opportunities, for example, pay gap, for example, enrollment ratio of male students versus female students, dropout ratio of male students or female students. These are generally discussed and these are common to all societies. But for us or sub communities living in India, India is a diverse country, so we have very communities, and again we have sub communities, we have culture, again we have subculture, we have region, and then the region is divided into various communities. Again we have tribal communities, we have scheduled caste, we have scheduled tribes, we have minorities. So keeping all these things in mind, it is a challenging task to bring about, to discuss equality, because when we discuss equality, yeah, in the context of our country, it is a little different. It needs a little more understanding, and every step we take has to be inclusive, has to be calculative, has to have a different research and the facts kept in mind. So I think. For our societies, it will be very wise if we start with a bottom up approach. So, when I say bottom up approach, from a family to a community to a population, and then a larger population of the region, maybe that is the best way to impact. So, first thing, starting with your family. I think all of us need to ask certain important questions regarding the girl child. If you have a girl child, or your neighbor has a girl child, or you know somebody who has a girl child around you, that what are the safety parameters of the girl child? Because I think, though yes, boys are equally at threat, but a girl child is more, at threat with the rising rapes in the country and everything. I think at a family level and at a community level, it is very crucial to discuss safety of the girl child first. Uh, if we go through the statistics, we will see that abuse of girl child is rampant even within families. So I think being very aware of the how a girl child can be harmed within a particular known society or a known family or community is very, very, very important. Because if we are to talk of equality and giving her equal rights, then I think safety becomes the first thing that we should be considering. And we should really think that are our girls really safe, even at home, even in our families, even in our when they go in our extended families, are they safe? That is one thing. Ensuring, I think everyone will be speaking about it, that you should give them equal opportunities to educate. I think this has become, common. Everyone is saying that. But yes, that is important. I'm not saying that is not important. But how we can make that girl go to school and complete her education, that needs an additional support, not just sending her to school. So, like I said, that we need to be really aware about the safety of a girl child. We need to be really aware that are they safe at home or at school as well. Uh, making gender neutral places, even at home or even at school, colleges, is one of the challenges of societies. Because you will generally see that who a girl, usually when she is growing up, she gets to read very little about women who have done, excelled in their careers, or who are the women who have actually shown the way to equality to women. Now, for example, with regard to the International Day of Girl Child and the UN specifically, I would like to talk about especially Hansa Mehta and Begum Hamid Ali. So she is Sharifa Hamid Ali. So these women who did spectacularly well at the UN. Now the first lady that I'm talking about is Hansa Mehta. She was also a member of the Constituent Assembly, who, as we all know, who helped the drafting of the Constitution. So she was the woman who was a representative of India in at the UN in 1948 when the United Nations Declaration for Human Rights was being adopted. So they had finished the drafting, and the draft said that for the rights of man. So she objected to the word use of the word man. Now, this objection was not to negate the importance of the word man, but the incompleteness of the word man alone. So she insisted, and then she ensured that finally you will find that in the United Nations Declaration for Human Rights, it says that the rights of man and women. So she insisted on the inclusion of the word woman in the particular declaration. So now today when we see all this refugee crisis across the world and all the statelessness of people, we see that women are also by large and affected by it, all of it. And so this the statement of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, this how relevant it is in today's time, and how she had been very how she has been very vocal, how she used her space at the UN, and then she guaranteed that the word be included. It was a mere word, but she was so foresighted, and she could see that the importance of the word in the coming times. So I think for today, she is a perfect example. Going with our theme that it is International Day for the Girl Child, our voice and our equal future. So I think she stands as a perfect example for today, where she used her space to include women in the same. So I think for all of us also this is a message, because in all of the things that we do, we generally tend to ignore the situation of women or the conditions in which a woman is raised, or her uniqueness, and not consider that when we are maybe coming up with a policy. Maybe it is a government policy, maybe it is a workplace policy. So usually we are not very inclusive. So I think that is one of our biggest learning, that we try to learn how to include women and the aspects related to women. For example, if we have a meeting taking place, then is it a suitable place for women as well to come? Maybe it's a very far off location, so is it safe for women to travel? These are very basic and very generic things, but I think gradually we can adopt to these changes and take care of our sisters and daughters who are working with us, so that if workplaces are not safe, if educational institutions are not safe, then it is natural that women will not be pushed to achieve those things. However, how much ever we talk about awareness, how much ever we talk, if at the basic root level we are not bringing these changes, then it will be very difficult and it is very challenging for girls. So this being one example for our today's theme. Then I also want to specifically talk about Begum Sharifa Hamid Ali. She was was an Indian delegate to the UN Commission in 1947, and also she was also in the Roundtable Conference of 1933. Now we know that in 1933 we had not even got independence, so we were still struggling for independence, and she went and represented India. And that time itself she vouched for adult franchise, that is voting rights for all irrespective of gender. So despite being a country who was still under colonial rule, and despite going from there, I think we this is exceptional thought process and exceptional contribution to us that she raised this issue, and it will be very surprising to us that women had got voting rights. If you really compare how democratic systems had established in the 18th century itself, but women had got voting rights only in the 19th century. New Zealand being the first country to give voting rights to women, this was in 1893. And the developed countries that if we are to really understand the situation of women, then we can see that developed countries like US also gave voting rights to women only by 1920. So this was, you can see a huge gap. So for something so basic as voting rights, also women had to fight. So there are obviously much more, in our societies. So we have in India, we have witch hunting, a very peculiar practice of going after women. So especially Assam. So I think Assam stands out if we really read about witch hunting cases and how witch hunting cases were studied by Mr. Kuladhar Saikia, and then how they came up with this insight that how women, single women or widows are targeted so that the land can be captured in the name of witch hunting. So this kind of practices or evil practices are still there. So we have not only seen the evil practices of sati, etc., in the earlier times, but we are still seeing such evil practices in India. So I think we have a long way to go, but small changes are the small steps are the things like we discussed earlier. These are the things that we should be adopting at the society level, so that we can make this journey count and make equal spaces for the girl child also in the future. This is not obviously a overnight thing, but I think with all of our efforts, and I think with institutions like Haji Anwar College and initiatives like this, gradually we can discuss more, and we can see how we can create a better space for women and for girls in our societies, disregarding all the biases that we have, disregarding all the gaps that we have. The inequalities exist because of certain conventional and contemporary gaps. I will not say all the gaps are conventional, but there are also contemporary gaps. So if we are able to address these issues of making women inclusive in all of our also literature, political activities, societal activities, at home, domestic decisions, domestic work, if in all of that we try to see that our spaces are suffocating women, if we are able to identify that, then I think we will be able to eliminate some of it, and gradually all of it, with all of our efforts together, instead of considering anything a threat. Or the advancement in some societies in India, unfortunately, we also see that the advancement of women is seen as a threat, that cultural threat, or family threat, or societal threat, or religious threat as well. So I think if these misconceptions at the basic root level are cleared, then we will be able to collectively impact our society in a positive way. So, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. I thought it hang. None of the pictures were moving. Yes.
Do you have any network problem, ma'am?
Probably, ma'am, you have a network problem.
No problem. Yes, so I think I will.
Yeah, we are listening to you, but your network problem, perhaps your picture is fixed.
Okay. Otherwise I was audible, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. You are audible, no doubt.
Okay.
Please go on.
So I think yes. So yes. So I was talking about rights and changes at basic family unit level, family level changes. Now, I think educational institutions also have a bigger role to play, wherein I think we need more literature on women to be shared with girl child. I think this will be one of the most important change, because I remember growing up and at school especially learning very little about women who have done exceptionally well, or who have stood their ground, or who knew right from wrong. While talking about equality, I also want to mention that I will not in the name of equality, I will not say that uh, any wrong action could also be right in the when it is about related to women. I admit and I agree that yes, there are situations we are faced with where it becomes these are the curse of olden times or evil practices that today we see these things in society, wherein equality is understood to be something that we have to definitely snatch from society. A girl, when she thinks, because she is raised in an environment where she thinks that everyone is anti the development of women, maybe that is not the case. But even then, when we don't get opportunities, we become angry from within, and we want to, take revenge, or I will do this at whatever cost. This kind of thoughts do come and chase a girl. This might not be so common, but it is there. So I think knowing more, learning more about women, seeing that the society is inclusive of you will reduce this anger or this frustration that is there in the girl child. Thinking that we are not given equal opportunities, we are not given as much freedom as a boy is. So this might be controversial when you say that, okay, if a boy can be outside till 10, why can't I be? So these kind of things do frustrate girls. Though this might not, I will not comment on what is right, because it could be an individual choice how people want their daughters to be. So that's an individual choice. So I will not comment on that. But there are some confusing debates in society. Instead of focusing on the right issues, we tend to focus on arguments and things that are not significant so much. So I think yes, discussing more about women, about the right kind of contribution from women that our society has seen, our country has seen, the world has seen. If we make the girls read a little more, invest in literature a little more towards that is inclusive of women, then I think that will go a long way in changing the structure and the power sharing nature in our societies. That is one thing. So yes, more of work is needed in that direction. Documentation. I think in our societies also we tend to see that the local population, because usually how much ever global figures we have, they have a wider impact. But for small communities, suppose if a girl sees that, okay, my aunt is doing so well and she is, able to balance her work life and personal life, and still, she is able to voice her opinion very strongly in the family. She has been given that space in the family. If a girl sees that in another family or in an extended family, it is more likely to impact her positively. So if we try to have that environment, if we try to have that kind of a culture wherein women are allowed to speak, or in the family, women are allowed to, we ask for their opinion once before making decision. So if we do that, then I think gradually it is going to impact the girls. So to impact the girls, necessarily the women have to be given that space so that it impacts, the girls who are at young ages now, impacts them positively. So for that, this change has to also to be simultaneously brought. So these are the things. So we have spoken about school spaces, about domestic spaces, about also political spaces. I think there should be motivation for girls to contest elections, to forget contest. I think I have seen societies where girls don't go to vote also. So starting with voting, I think it's very important that girls go and vote, and they are allowed to, have an interest in the political sphere as well, and give their opinions. So I think it's these little changes that will gradually bring about. We have so much disparity in political representation of women at the legislative assembly, be it at the legislative assembly or at the parliament. So these are very small changes. So I think we should start with sending our girls to vote. sending our girls to, participate in elections or political rallies or parties if they feel like, even at the village level, maybe. Or for the panchayat. I think these are very important steps that as families we should take. And yes, so also about work, I think everyone speaks about that. That if a girl wants to, pursue education, there should be no pestering for marriage and forcing them to go for marriage, etc. Or even if they are going for marriage, it is not that yes, there's one thing I want to really speak about, that usually people think that okay, getting married is the solution and then finish. Or for girls who want to do well, they think not getting married is the solution and first do whatever you want, then you get married. But I think if if societies sit, families sit together and decide that okay, if a girl is supposed to be married, then even after marriage she should have the opportunity. Nowadays, I see so many women who are pursuing their career after marriage, and they are still doing whatever they would have otherwise also done. So marriage is not really a hindrance that way, provided a girl makes the decision that okay, this is the family she wants to be settled with, and this family is ready to give her the opportunities even after marriage, and they are very accommodative of that, then I think there is no problem in that. But I think yes, it also becomes a challenge for families to find such kind of families. So there can be a balance in between that. And if girls are given the opportunity to do what they want, then I think nothing should be a barrier for them. So these are very small things, but these are families and all girls at all times. So their safety, their political inclusion, their education, how we raise a boy without realizing that we are raising a child. I think we have to be more aware that we are raising a child, a girl child, and we have to, promote for her equal space when she grows up to become.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, she.
Excuse me.
Yes. Yes.
You are audible 100%, no doubt. And but your picture is fixed. Perhaps you have network problem. Your picture is fixed on the screen.
Oh, is it? Why
Yeah.
is that? I have no.
Also. Okay, then go on, please. You are audible. Not no problem at all.
Okay. Now I think
Yeah,
I will. I
yeah,
have
it's all right
spoken.
now.
I have,
It's all right.
yes. Yes. I think I will like to end it here, and I am very grateful for the opportunity that you people have given me, and thank you for considering me. I don't even think that I am. I have done anything so great that I could be the chief guest, but you considered me. So thank you so much. And I am very honored, and I think you people are doing a great job. And I would just thank the principal of Ajayanpal College for taking this initiative. It is really an important initiative, and I really appreciate that all of you have taken all the measures, and you have still decided to go ahead with the function, and you are doing it so marvelously. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Thank you. You have enlightened us from the point of view of girls' child's rights, their voices, their status in the society, and from the family itself you have talked about. So I would like to ask my participants, especially students, to interact with ma'am. And when you start your participation, start your question or say interaction, you please unmute, and then you can raise, or you can raise your hand so that it would be easier to listen for ma'am and for all others, and there won't be any technical disturbance. Hello. Okay. Okay, unmute and then.
Sir. Mustafa, call unmute করে দে। Hello. ওকে ভয় তো।
Okay, students, participants, you can raise. So I would like to ask. Oh yes. Are you listening, ma'am?
I think ma'am is unmute.
Am I audible?
Ma'am is mute. Ma'am is mute.
You're audible, yes.
Yeah. See, you have raised many pertinent issues regarding girls' child in our society, traditional, contemporary society. Now, some problems actually the girl students of Northeast country, when we talk about my boys, our equal rights. So like boys, girls also go to Delhi and some other metropolitan cities for higher education. So a number of cases have happened that attack on Northeast girl students. So how far it is justifiable when we talk about our boys is our future, that is our future right. So how far is you think that this can be easily curbed?
I think attack on girls is not a specific issue that okay when they go to other metros or anything. If you see Northeast itself has so many cases of rape, so many cases of abuses, so many cases of domestic violence in Northeast also. So though most of our Northeastern societies are matriarchal societies, even then you will see that this kind of crimes are happening. But to consider a crime to be space specific, I think that is not a very positive outlook, because that kind of restraints even families, even people to move. I have lived most of my life, my higher education and then work outside. So outside of Northeast India. So I can tell from my experience that I think you cannot consider place to be a hindrance, journey to be a hindrance, because I really believe that so many of the crimes happen because women are not aware what remedies are available. So many times we are also not aware. See, for example, for women, the legal services, every state has a legal service authority, and for if a woman wants to file a case, it is at minimal charge and disposable charge, and she legal remedies. So she can approach them and she can get legal help, so without investing huge money. So usually if a woman is not working, it is not, or even if she is a dependent or on some family or somebody, it is, they usually do not dare to go for legal remedies in any scenario. So when I say equal, do we have to understand what kind of equality are we talking about. So if it is equal, if will a man stop working because he is like, it is possible that he will get death threats, he'll get killed. If you take the stats of man getting killed because of his business, I think it will be more than women who are randomly attacked on streets. So do men stop working because of that reason? No, right? So I think not doing something because of that is not in any way an idea of equality. I think the idea of equality is that despite being threatened. You still stand your ground and you still go ahead and do what you had wished to do. And if it is positively contributing to your life, you should still go ahead and do it. And rest of it, if because of any misfortune we face or undergo some challenges, then I think we have to be ready to face the outcomes and go for legal remedies or go for the after solutions of whatever has happened with us. So I think we have to be ready that way. So being ready is also another aspect of change to bring about equality.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so any participant
One of the questions.
want to raise any?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
One of my student named Ashraful is watching he has participated this webinar, this program through YouTube channel. He raised a question. Ashraful question is that what is the best way
Okay.
to support a child's education? Before I'm okay, carry on, ma'am.
What is the best way to support a girl child's education is in what context is he asking the question? Is he asking it for a family person or in general he wants to help girls with education?
The girls' education in institutional level or
Institutional level. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Way back, I think I had written an article also about it. So I think this is with whatever little experience or little knowledge I have, I will suggest. It might not be possible for all schools or all institutions, but I think that is an initiative that all colleges or all schools should take. So I feel that every institution should have a scope that for every classroom we will have one. I will not put it in favor of only a girl child, but only a disadvantaged student. It could be a male or a female student depending on the capacity of the student. Now, every college or school we know will have 60 or 70 students. So, for a big societal change, I had earlier also suggested, what if we promise one seat in one classroom for a disadvantaged child? It could be a male child also, there is no problem with it. But if the college is keen, then they can have the seat reserved for the female child, for the deserving female child. So in every classroom, if we have one, so if there is a school which has classes from A to 10, then we have 12 girls in that school who are studying for free. So if every school takes that initiative, if every college takes that initiative, then I think we will make a huge change in the society. So I don't know how far it is doable for institutions, because this has to be, there are boards and there are, rules, so they have to follow. So if they can do this, then I think this is at institutional level, I think nothing greater than this can work. So this will work very well, I think, not greater.
Okay, one thing I'd like to raise that at institutional level, girl child's education is not at all a problem nowadays. Even in remote areas, even in our college, we see that more than 50% students are girl students. More than 50% students are girl students. The problem is this, that ma'am, they became dropout. Almost out of this 50% from first year, when they come at the last year or at the final exam, we see 50% dropped out. In many cases, 50% dropped out. So that is a problem for girls' education in especially minority areas. I should be very.
So can I ask a question? Yes. In your, for example, this college, if you are seeing so much of dropout ratio, then have you ever conducted counseling girl child?
Actually, truly speaking, it is, though it was planned but not materialized. not materialized yet. One thing I would like to say that more than 80% of the students' family, they are agrarian society actually, agriculture based society, and we planned, but because of some situation, it was not materialized to meet the
So I think,
parents of girl students.
okay, so I think they had financial problems.
I don't think so. I don't
Okay,
think
so
so.
what do you think?
Because
What are the reasons for this?
if there is any financial problems, not less than 5%, but most of the girls I have seen that it was a tradition, the first generation education among the girls, and that is why perhaps they are not going to fulfill the graduation course. Yes, sometimes they think also they talk to me that after passing graduation, what should I do? Number one. Number two, that some of the girls are being married before the completion of the course.
Right. So I have seen this. It's not that I'm not aware of that these things happen. My In my own village, which is in Assam, in our village also it is the same scenario. But since I don't stay there, I'm usually not very, I have not been able to contribute anything towards that issue. And for how much ever time I'm there, I try to talk to parents. But I totally understand the mentality you are talking about. So
Yeah.
I think that colleges should take up an initiative of associating with some NGO. I think we also have. I am also associated with an NGO called. Since I was raised in Nagaland, so I am associated with the Dimapur Muslim Council organization. This is an NGO. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but if you can find out about local NGOs that work for girl child education, then I think college should collaborate with such NGOs, and then maybe you can have a door-to-door, session with these families, or maybe invite them to college and have a collective session and discuss to these people about the challenges that their daughter is going to face, provided by any misfortune, if anything, because people really depend on these marriages. They think that this marriage is going to, provide for the girl. The girl is going to have a settled family, and they don't think about the consequences. So these days in societies, we are seeing very high divorce rates. So these rates are likely to increase only in the future. So, with this increasing rates of divorces and increasing family breakups, or these are reasons that these parents are aware of. They should be made aware of the fact that in the changing scenario, the girl has to be capable enough of providing for herself or earning for herself. So, only with that purpose, they should maybe because I think these such kind of rural families or first generation education families, they will readily not accept any of our arguments. So I think it needs a chain of interaction with these people and very dedicated effort. So if the women's cell in your college, or I see you also have a women's cell and member present in the meeting. So I think she is Ms. Tulika Goswami. So I think if you people can have a weekly meeting or something of the women's cell, and then organize maybe events in the villages or in these areas that are particularly affected, and gradually speak about the girl child education and the benefits, also the scholarships that the central government gives, also the state government of Assam is rewarding girl child, right? So I think if you bring about and tell them about the benefits associated with educating their child, then probably they will be convinced that okay, they should let the child continue, education. Because I think creating by telling them that they are wrong is not going to help us. So I think we should tell them that of the benefits, make them aware of the benefits. There are so many centrally sponsored schemes or central sector schemes or state government schemes that support girl child. So I think we should do more research about these schemes and policies, what is effective now, and then accordingly make them aware and of these schemes, and then help them avail the benefits under these schemes, and then they can definitely, I think we will see some positive light with some extra efforts. So I think other than that, we don't have much of a solution in our hand. Maybe also maybe through your college students, you can run some digital campaigns, but digital campaigns have a limited, what do you say? Reach, have a limited reach, because they will probably not reach these agrarian societies or families. So for them, what can we do? Physical interaction or meeting them or repeated counseling is the only way. So I think in that direction, if the college can take efforts, it will be really great.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, yeah, our women's health can also play a vital role in this. We will visit, if not door to door, at least selected places to convince the parents of the girls to continue their education. Actually, one point you have raised, this is most important, that parents think that if they are get married, they are settled. So this concept is this concept is actually thriving here. Okay, over to Abdul Hamid Talukdar.
I think the program is going.
So I have one question, sir.
Okay. What is your question?
I have one question.
Okay, you raise.
Very good morning to all of you, particularly the principal, sir, and the moderator and our chief guest. My question is directly to the chief guest. Ma'am,
Yes.
that government is the most responsible one for all kind of backwardness of the girl's child, because in some of the society like Maharashtra, like West Bengal, Calcutta, etc., Delhi, girls, whether from minority background or from middle class or lower middle class or Dalit, they are getting employed and came their own job. They are not dependent on their parents. But in our states, what happened? Parents are giving more importance on the marriage of the girl's child. So the girls do not complete their education. They get married to another person when they are at the age of 20 or 21 or 18, even 18, at the age of 18. So I think if there is an environment of employment for the girl's child, particularly, and if government take initiatives for this employment, so the parents will not think the marriage of their girls, so they will give importance on the employment of their girls, of their daughters. So I think it is the responsibility of the government. And if the girls are still backward in the education, in the employment sector, so it is the government is the sole responsible one. Your views?
Yes. I agree to what you are saying, but I do not entirely agree with what you are saying, because I think for everything, of course, government is responsible, but in things which are so sensitive, for example, a girl's, issue, the government has campaigns, etc., run, but I think if there is not an internal trigger from society, then things which are so sensitive, which are culturally sensitive, which are which have their own interpretations in communities or various communities, for these things the government cannot do. For example, the government cannot ask all girls to go and seek for a job, right? They can assure reservation. They can do that, which they have done. In the parliament also we have reserved seats, but or in legislative assemblies we have reserved seats for women, but how many girls go and participate? They don't go and participate. So if you see the participation issue, it is basically a family thing or a society thing or a cultural barrier or a regional barrier. It is related to that. So I think there has to be an internal trigger to fight that back. So it can only come from the family itself.
Ma'am, I would like to add that whether it is the barrier of societal, cultural, or the religious, I put all this aside. My importance is that suppose the marriage is a hindrance for the girl's child, not the parents. For parents, the security of the girl's child, security of their life is more important. So security is for me. I think if their daughter got employed in any sector, government or the private sector, or it is not available in the society, so they are giving importance. Their daughter must got married to a person so that her life might be secure. So this is the importance of. I think in this regard, people like our principal sir or the generous people or the intelligent people from our society must work to change this mindset. But as well, the parliament has to take some important initiative to improve this mindset of the parents. So how not only the initiatives required some steps to be taken, some work to be done. Some work to be done for the employment. Only I put only importance on the employment of the girl's child. I think so.
Right. You're very right when you say that the girls must be employed to be self-sufficient and to have their dignity in place and to have a right to speak. So I agree with you when you say that government has more to do. But I'll tell you my example. I am a first generation graduate, a female graduate in my family, or even a first generation female postgraduate in my family. My family did not have that culture at all. So even now in my family, the girls, my distant cousins, I see them, they are married off at 20 and 22. So even if I speak so much about these issues and I also vouch for it, I am not able to change it. So it needs an external and internal push and a clash so that this explosion can happen and things can change. Because now we are in a status quo and we don't want to change this. We want to just go as it is. So I think these kind of changes will be difficult for societies. Of course, it is difficult, but it is not undoable. It's not something impossible. So I think I'll tell you one thing, that when we see, like I told you, local personalities, the government, I read, I think 2 years back, it was in Haryana, I think. So, the Haryana girl child, child ratio is not good. So, or is very weak rather. So, a few years back, they came up with this scheme, and it is very, if you really practically see, it's very important. It's very good scheme. So what they did is that they took local female personalities who have excelled. So in Haryana, we have a lot of sports persons. So what they did is that they took this local district, icon. So district female icon they chose, and they chose one particular sports person who has done nationally well, who is a female, and put her posters everywhere and there's banners everywhere. So what happens is that it speaks to the people. So, for example, if in our Doboka, for example, we look for girls who are doing very well, or maybe from the community you want to impact. Maybe there is this, Bengali community, or maybe Bihari community, or some community there is in Assam or in the district which you want to impact. Particularly, you are targeting that particular community. Then go for a example from that community. So usually see people are not very receptive about girls for going out or working and all that. But if you find an example, okay, she is also doing, because हमारा Indian culture में है कि शर्मा जी का बेटा क्या कर रहा है, depend on that. So शर्मा जी की बेटी क्या कर रही है, if you can find that local example, then I think it will be more of a push to your local community. So go for a local example instead of going for international, because culturally then that is not likely to impact so much as if you are going to bring about Sharifa Hamid Ali ka example or a Hansa Mehta ka example, a local example, maybe probably from your district or your state. I think that is going to give a push. So I think your women's cell should also work on identifying local figures and उनको promote करने की कोशिश करें, क्लासरूम में भी promote करने की कोशिश करें, क्लास में इन चीजों की बातें हो, अगर आपका लाइब्रेरी है तो वहाँ पे women related literature हो, हमें पता हो कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी they have done so much and our local women have local लिटरेचर को भी आप अपने कॉलेज के हिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट को एक काम दे सकते हैं या पॉलिटी डिपार्टमेंट को एक काम दे सकते हैं कि हर महीने एक जर्नल निकाले, में भी छोटा सा जर्नल या एक मैगजीन निकाले जिसमें एक कंट्रीब्यूशन हो उस डिपार्टमेंट का in finding out the history of probably Doboka and maybe finding the historical female figures from Doboka and writing about them, or from Assam or from India, if not in that particular district, then from the state, from the region, from the particular community that you are targeting. But it has to be you have to fix a community, you have to study that community if you want to really impact that community. वो या फिर वो किन चीजों के लिए ओपन है, रिसेप्टिव हैं, वो किन चीजों के अगेंस्ट है एकदम जो आप टच नहीं कर सकते, तो वो क्या एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं, उस हिसाब से अगर हम ऐसे कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी निकाल पाए, या हम अपने, अगर आपके कॉलेज में कोई क्रिएटिव डिपार्टमेंट नहीं है, हम बनाए। और अगर हम आजकल एक यूट्यूब वीडियो बनाने में क्या लगता है, घर पे बैठ के बच्चे बना लेते हैं, तो है और सोशल मीडिया में कुछ काम कर रहे हैं ढंग का, इंस्टेड ऑफ प्लेइंग पबजी एंड जो भी बैंड गेम्स हैं वो ना खेल के आपके बच्चे ये सब कर रहे हैं, तो मुझे लगता है आप अपने सोसाइटी को बहुत अलग तरह से इम्पैक्ट कर सकते हो। आप लोगों का पावर ये है कि आप एक एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट में हो, वो भी कन्वेंशनल एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट में हो, एक कॉलेज में हो। एक कॉलेज का, जब एक कॉलेज कुछ बोलता है बहुत जोर से, वो सोसाइटी सुनती है, चाहे वो सोसाइटी में है कि ये कॉलेज है और यहाँ पढ़े लिखे लोग जाते हैं, एटलीस्ट ये उन्हें पता होता है, तो मुझे बड़ा हो सकता है। आप लोग कॉलेज को एग्जाम्पलरी बना सकते हैं अगर आप ऐसे कुछ छोटी चीजें लाएं, जैसे कि मे बी ब्रिंगिंग अबाउट अ मैगजीन एवरी मंथ। अगर वो बहुत कॉस्टली पड़ता है तो आप पीडीएफ निकाल लें, आजकल सबके पास व्हाट्सएप होता है, लोकल लैंग्वेज में कुछ लिखें, कहानियां लिखें, आपके बच्चे जो भी क्रिएटिव हैं उनको चूज करके उनसे कहानियां लिखवाएं, या फिर पोइट्री करें, या फिर वीडियो बनाएं और उसको शेयर करें डिजिटल मीडिया में। अपने कॉलेज का भी प्रमोशन, अगर मैं प्रमोशन की बात करूँ तो इन दैट वे आपके कॉलेज को भी हेल्प होगा, सोसाइटी को बहुत बड़ा हेल्प होगा, और आपके बच्चे कुछ प्रोडक्टिव कर रहे होंगे सोशल मीडिया में, तो मुझे लगता है कि आप कर सकते हैं।
Hello, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, madam. Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Sultan.
Yes, you're.
Okay.
Our girls are brought up to respect, internalize, and fit in with the patriarchal values that stand in their way of a full-fledged development as human resources.
Right.
This is the perennial
Right.
problem with our society.
Right.
How do you think we can overcome this?
Patriarchal
Values
mindset.
that get brought up,
Yes.
in the process of bringing them up. We are,
Right.
giving them these values, and they're brought up to, respect these values, and which are obsolete today, and which do not help them to, develop, rise up to their potential.
Right. Thank you for the question. So I think it's a very important question, but like I said, I always go back to root of a problem. So if you see patriarchal mindset, then we will see that it is a national phenomena, it is a global phenomena. So how can we address that? We are not, we are very small people and we are common people. So for us to address an issue like patriarchy is very difficult. So I think the only way to challenge this is the power sharing formula that exists in families is the basis of it all. If you read any literature, any research work, anything, you will always find that this patriarchal mindset has to do with the power sharing formula. So the power sharing equation in families also is not, you will see that how does it become a national level phenomena, a political level phenomena, or a global phenomena is because it exists in the family. at a family level, at a domestic level, this power sharing ratio that is there between a male partner and a female partner, a female child and a male child at home inside the family is the issue. So I think we have to really understand the role each of us play in our societies, in our communities, in our family. So, for example, a small thing like making tea at home. Making tea at home is always the girl child's duty. So, at a basic route, you will see that we always tell the girl to make tea. It is not a bad thing because I love cooking. It is not a bad thing to cook and all. But this ultimately, it is a very small thing, but it shows you the power sharing equation in society that is going to exist forever. So I think handling these things a little more rationally, a little more equally. For example, if a girl is going to school, she has equal homework as your boy child at home. So she has to, but despite of that, why would you always ask her, to mop the floor, for example, to broom the floor,
So
to make
even
tea? Why do
one has to start it with the family.
Pardon?
Gary, we have to start it with the family. All you
Yeah,
have to
yes.
say.
With the family. That is my thing that we have
The
to.
grassroots level.
Yes, at the family. Yes.
So another question from my student.
Madam, one question.
However, yes, I'll just add one more point. However, I want to tell that we have to understand. I'm not in favor of this domination kind of equality, and I don't believe in that. So I don't want to exchange male role and female role. It is also not about exchanging male role and female role. So we have to be very cautious that we are not affecting our society or our cultures in a negative way in the name of equality. Also, that also happens in many debates. We go astray, and we have to understand that a man and a woman are complementary. But why we
Yeah,
are talking
right.
about patriarchal, right, man and we are talking about patriarchal mindset is because women are subjugated. So if a woman is not subjugated, there is no problem with collectively sharing responsibilities and leading a life of dignity and giving the women also equal space. So because equal space is not given, we are discussing this. So I wanted to make that clear. Yes, there was one more question, I think.
Madam, I have one question.
Yes.
Thanks, Madam, for enlightful lecture. We all know many girls experience sexual harassment and abuse in very early when they
Yes.
not even know these things and they think they are as usual. Is it is a barrier of the women or girls education or social upliftment, or is it a gender bias or gender inequality in the society, in the patriarchal society?
Uh, this I think is a behavioral issue, a criminal minded issue. See, crimes. This is a crime to abuse, a girl child. It's a crime, but so many people will not even talk about it because we feel ashamed of talking about it. So we will not talk about it. So I think to tackle or to even understand such kind of behavior is this kind of behavior is very important, and keeping your child safe is important. I think there is nothing to interpret as a consequence of this, because I think that is what is wrong, that we interpret this. Okay, ये हुआ है इसलिए हुआ है because this girl is keeps going out. ये हुआ है इसलिए क्योंकि ये बच्ची बाहर खेलती है तो उसको घर पे ही खेलने के लिए नो आई थिंक ये इंटरप्रेट करना बहुत गलत है बिकॉज ये उसकी गलती नहीं थी इट्स नॉट फॉल्ट ऑफ द गर्ल चाइल्ड so it is criminals are there in the society so if tomorrow someone wants to kill me he will anywhere go ahead and kill me whatever I do so I think इन चीजों से ना डरना चाहिए ना इसको एक बायस मानना चाहिए ना ये मानना चाहिए कि ये एक बैरियर है हमें नहीं मानना चाहिए we should not think this as a barrier or an obstacle no it is not if so many people who are safe in their well structured houses they get looted murdered killed ये सब होता है पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि इससे एक डेरिवेटिव है ये एक आई थिंक साइकोलॉजिकल इशू है with some people और हमें we have to learn to live with all this and we have to know that there can be consequences but despite of that people's rights cannot be violated or girl child's rights cannot be violated so I think this is ye change hame the jo hum we are the sane and educated sober people in society so ye ka lane ka responsibility hamare andar hai aur hame psychological change लाना पड़ेगा gradually within us and our societies that इसका ये इससे कोई डिराइव करने का कुछ नहीं है अगर एक बुरा हादसा होता है तो एक बुरी चीज हो गई है और इससे इसका डिराइवेटिव ना लाना हमारे सोसाइटी के लिए बहुत अच्छा है पर हाँ प्रिकॉशंस की बात कर सकते हैं हम कि ओके क्या प्रिकॉशंस ले सकते हैं ये हुआ है बिकॉज लड़कियों के मे बी के लिए ये सेफ जगह नहीं है तो ये सेफ जगह क्यों नहीं है मे बी ये कैमरा इंस्टॉल करने से ये एरिया सेफ हो जाएगा या कुछ हम प्रिकॉशंस की बात कर सकते हैं हम स्टेप्स की बात कर सकते हैं पर हम किसी कोई क्राइम हो जाए कोई अब्यूज हो जाए उसको डिराइव कर लेने से हम बाद में रेस्ट्रेंट्स लाना शुरू कर देंगे और रेस्ट्रेंट्स राइट्स नहीं इंश्योर कर सकता रेस्ट्रेंट्स सिर्फ कर्टेल कर सकता है सो आई थिंक दैट कैन नॉट बी एन वे
Thank you very much. From this program, from today's program, actually we have learned a lot of things, and I can say that from this celebration, one thing I find out that from the statistical point of view, that suppose the girl students admitted this year 2021 session